Okay, what about your marches? Are they having an impact?
Yes, they are having an impact in the sense that we reminded the government of the laws of the country where they've specified that people are not allowed to hire illegal immigrants, but a lot of employers have been getting away with it. So currently we're seeing a lot of them facing the will of the people, and they have no choice but to abide by the laws of the country, because they can't be labeling us as lawless people, for example, for wanting the laws to be enforced. So we're seeing a lot of South Africans getting employed. Obviously, it's not enough, but also we're not happy. We're seeing a decline in the crime rate. We saw a number of them getting evacuated out of the country, but we're still not happy because the ones that are giving us a proper problem are still refusing to leave, which is the likes of the Nigerians, the Somalians, Ethiopians, the Pakistanis, the Bangladeshis. Those are the ones that have given us a serious problem, and they have this sense of entitlement that somehow they should stay in the country by hook or by crook. So we're just hoping that we'll have a government that takes this seriously and enforces much stricter ways of getting them to leave the country.
There's criticism that the marches have been violent and have been unfairly targeting immigrants. What's your response to that?
Look, if they've been violent, I'm sure by now I would have been arrested. They know very well the marches have not been violent. In fact, the marches have relatively been peaceful given the number of people that the people coming to the marches. I mean, it's unprecedented numbers, marches bigger than any we've seen in the country at all, with no buses being sent out to get people out. People are coming out generically because they feel like they're tired and they want to express themselves.
What about the media's coverage? Do you think this issue is being fairly reported in the media?
I think we've concluded that the media has already chosen a side, and we're happy with that. So we're going to be telling our own stories. That's what we've said, because I remember there was even an incident from one international journalist who came all the way from the USA, and when they arrived here, they came to the march, and with South Africans, carrying sticks is actually part of a culture, which is the Zulu culture. It has nothing to do with beating people up or violence, because even at a wedding, that's what we carry. The men carry sticks. Mm-hmm. And the story turned around from it just being a protest to now it being people using sticks to hunt down foreign nationals, which is absolutely not true. And even when you tried to correct them, they carried on with that idea or that propaganda that they was trying to spread. So we've had a lot of negative, coverage, and that's why the whole issue of the 30th of June was kind of blown out of proportion and painted to be something it's not. But here we are, and still carrying on with the fight against this invasion that our country is facing.
What about you? How did you go from being a radio presenter to the founder of March and March?
It wasn't easy, to be honest with you. I think it was exactly my radio, career that led me to this, because hearing people's stories and many of them sharing at how they've been let down by the law when it comes to the issue of someone who's in the country legally and they can't find them, or they are here but the police are, not willing to move or support their call for that person to be charged or arrested or investigated at least. So there was a lot of issues that, were ending up hurting me when it came to the issue of how South Africans felt like second-class citizens in their own country. And on top of that, there was a television show which we were watching every single Sunday, a series of shows where from one show they were just drug dealers. It's called Sizokuthola. It's always on our shows on our screens every Sunday. And then from there, it was another show, Vuga, where people are just going around exposing all these crimes that people are committing in the country, and they're not South Africans. And week after week, it would be people coming back from outside of South Africa, but sometimes you'd see the same offenders coming back because of our criminal justice system. So it was just a transition that had to happen, I feel, because, as a South African and as someone who's concerned about the future of this country, I could see that there's no future left for a South African anymore.
How do you feel about the future now, and will the marches continue?
I feel a little bit more hopeful knowing that South Africans now are standing up for themselves and they're ready to defend their country at all costs. I think it's a bit safer for me to feel a bit of comfort. We're not there yet, but at least it's getting there. And then, the marches are definitely going to be continuing because our government has, as I said, made promises, but to date, we haven't seen those promises yield any results, or we don't see a potential of them yielding results at that, because the things that they have suggested are possible, but there is no means for them to happen. Because we want a border gate, for example. We don't have a mere border gate in the country. Wow. And on top of that, there's other neighboring countries who are having economic collapses from all the way from 2008. So all their citizens are just comfortable to just walk in, cross the river and come here and start life, and it can't be. We can't maintain that. Our hospitals are overcrowded, our schools are overcrowded, buildings are overcrowded. So we demand border walls, and we demand that the government of this country also talks to the other governments of their neighboring countries to also make sure that they give their people the resources that they deserve. Currently in Zimbabwe, there's a gentleman who's been arrested all because he planned a protest to speak about the issues that they face as Zimbabweans, and nobody's making any noise about it. Our government is quiet about it. You can't be having citizens arrested just because they want to make their voices heard, because the natural effects of that is that those citizens end up collapsing their own countries to come to ours, and it can't be a workable and sustainable model.
Jacinta Zuma, founder of the March and March movement, thank you so much for making the time to speak with us on Power Hour. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I'm saying that because we've all seen recently the whole narrative about South Africa and the challenges that African migrants have had in South Africa. I have to tell you that it's not just an issue for South Africa. Where I am in Libya, it is a point where the majority of African migrants trying to go to Europe try to exit through Libyan corridors because the state institutions are weak. But I can assure you that that journey is probably more perilous than the current situation in South Africa. And the number of people who die on their way there, right? And the work that I think, well, not that I think, I know that our embassy has to do in Libya, especially when they find out that there are Ghanaians who have perished along the way, and they actually retrieve their bodies and give them Muslim funerals. That data has not been in the public domain as much, and so we're not cognizant of the scale at which it is happening. But I think that we should pay more attention to it, because for all of those who believe that the path to Europe is the way in which they are going to achieve their futures, we should be very, very sensitive to the fact that Europe and the Western world is closing its doors to illegal migration. And so what does that mean? With regard to the Western world, I think both at the continental, sub-regional level and as a country, we would have to expand our efforts to negotiate for legal labor channels and the protection of the rights of diaspora citizens, whose remittances are an important source of foreign exchange inflows. Among African member states themselves, I anticipate that this will be a contentious issue that will require very sensitive conversations to take place, because juxtaposing the desire of some member states to get rid of what they consider to be illegal migrants, returning them to their host countries, while at the same time advocating for the ease of travel restrictions and making it easier to travel across our continent in order to be able to do business, is going to be a very sensitive balancing act. And given the fact that we have quite a large diaspora, both abroad in the Western world, but also within the continent, I would say that going forward, that is going to be a particularly significant issue for Ghana that we should be paying attention to. Because we also do not necessarily welcome all the migrants who come into our space. And we also are not necessarily entirely pleased with having people congregating around our traffic lights, coming from different parts of the region, who we consider to be foreigners. And even though we're not expelling them, the truth of the matter is that we're not really welcoming to them either. And so if we think that this is not going to be something that we have to focus on, both in the short and medium term, then I think we're deluding ourselves. So going forward, especially at the national level, I would suggest that this is something we have to focus on in much more detail. So in short, we've got to invest in building institutions that are in a state of readiness, not just to promote our economic development, but to respond rapidly to threats and crises. That means not only focusing primarily on economic growth and prosperity, as important as that is, but also on human security, social cohesion in order to build a resilient state. Over the years, we've done an incredible amount of work on policies, programs, and initiatives. Now the emphasis must be on effective implementation and execution, monitoring and evaluation, and ensuring that the resources we have available are put to efficient use to achieve these outcomes. We need to build a resilient state to meet the challenge of a multipolar, competitive, and interest-based world order, and engage in active diplomacy within our continent and beyond, especially with our sub-regional neighbors, to survive the storms ahead.
South Africa.
Foreigners are taking our girlfriends. Foreigners are taking our jobs. Foreigners are taking our businesses. Foreigners are occupying our father shop and talk shop and all of that. Foreigners must leave. South Africa for South Africans. This is it. You know, when they say foreigners must leave and all of that, it's kind of funny and crazy. No country in this world will ever make it without migrants. It is not possible. It is not possible. You can't do that. You can't achieve anything. It's going to affect every sector of your economy. Every sector. It's going to affect every sector. When they say all foreigners must leave, see, let me tell you, even Asia cannot do without. I'm not talking about China alone. I say Asia continent, they cannot do without migrants. They cannot do without foreigners. America cannot do without foreigners. Europe as a whole cannot do without foreigners. If Europe as a whole should say all the foreigners must leave, they will go down. Europe will go down. Europe's economy will sink. If America should chase all the illegal foreigners, all the foreigners in America, they will go down. They will sink. The same thing as Asia. Not to talk of South Africa, that is just here. The thing that is tiring to me, and also it kind of angers me and annoys me, is that these guys does not even know that their government signed Geneva Convention. See, like South African government receives money from United Nations to take care of asylum seekers in your country. Do you guys know that? Do you know that I have rights to seek asylum in South Africa? Like if I have any problem that will make me to leave Nigeria, I can come to South Africa and seek asylum. Some of them will say no. The law says you must go to the nearest country. Imagine. Some people fly from Africa to Europe to seek asylum. Some people fly from Africa to Canada, to US to seek asylum. They are not rejecting them because they fly down to another continent. And you're telling someone in the same continent that the person must, like in Nigeria, must seek asylum in Benin Republic, or in Ghana before he comes to South Africa. You guys read the ending part of the law. You don't read the beginning and the middle. Sometimes you guys read the beginning of the law, you don't read the middle and the ending. Sometimes you guys read the middle, you don't read the beginning and the ending. That is the problem with you guys. That's why they say you guys lack critical thinking ability, because it is three in one. Sense of reasoning, sense of understanding, and sense of belonging. That is the beginning, the middle, and the end. But you guys do not apply three of them at the same time. That is only when you have critical thinking ability. So this is why Black South Africans has zero. Some of them has zero critical thinking ability. You can't say foreigners must leave. Your government is not even taking care of the asylum seekers that they are collecting money. They are not taking care of it.
Guys, I think it's high time we have a real conversation. But before I go into my message, let me be very clear. This video does not justify mob justice, xenophobia, or violence of any kind. Now let's get into it. In South Africa, Nigerians are often accused of being involved in drugs, fraud, and other illegal activities. In Ghana and other African countries, same complaint. And even out of this continent, same complaint. Yes, it is true that not every accusation is true, but we also need to ask an uncomfortable question. Where are all these perceptions coming from? Where are they coming from? Some Nigerians constantly display unexplained wealth, spend lavishly, and live lifestyles that appear inconsistent with the businesses or jobs they claim to do. Some are also too loud. I mean, way too loud. I think this is one of their main problems. You know, they are so loud and unnecessarily provocative and constantly attracting attention to themselves. Of course, owning a luxury car or spending money does not automatically make someone a criminal. But when this behavior exists alongside actual cases of illegal activity involving a few individuals, suspicion begins to spread to the wider Nigerian community, and soon innocent Nigerians start suffering for things they know nothing about. So right now, my message is simple. Instead of dismissing every accusation and concern as jealousy or xenophobia or whatever, I think Nigerians abroad must also have an honest conversation about personal responsibility and ask themselves, why are they always being accused of being involved in illegal businesses? Why? And for those of you who are involved into those dirty businesses, you need to understand that you are not only tarnishing your own images, you are destroying the images of innocent Nigerians who are working extremely hard trying to earn an honest living. Thank you all for watching this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments.
February this year, Arasta and her team were denied a visa to South Africa, and that led to the cancellation of her scheduled concert in the city Arasta that was supposed to happen in Joburg and Cape Town in South Africa. So I see no reason why Tyler should be given a visa to Nigeria. They denied Arasta and her team entry to South Africa February this year, 3 days before the program. The program was supposed to happen on the 16th and 17th of February 2026, but the South African government denied her visa. They didn't give any official reason as to why they denied her the visa. So why is Tyler coming to Nigeria December? Nigeria, on a shame, they shame me. On a disgrace, they embarrass me. On a disgrace, they embarrass the whole world. I never see people that will be willing to sell shame to buy disgrace and loss of dignity. I never see. Some South African people were even mocking Arasta that she should perform on TikTok. So let Tyler perform on TikTok. I will send her lion. I will send her roses. If you people in Lagos or in Nigeria want to see people with short skirts, let Arasta perform. Everything you want to see in Tyler, Arasta will have it and give you people extra. Let her perform on TikTok. We will attend on TikTok. And if you really want to see her that she's your fan, get your passport, get your visa, go to South Africa and watch her in South Africa.